Recently, I've been talking a lot about the awesome progress made on HS2 over the past few years, particularly over the past 2 years, during which time we've seen the delivery of an increasing number of key structures. The fact that authority to construct HS2 was only granted in 2020, yet up to 80% of the civils are either complete or in progress, should be more widely celebrated. This could, however, be a bittersweet moment, as construction moves from civil engineering to the track and systems phase of delivery. This is because it's becoming increasingly apparent that there are no other large infrastructure projects on the immediate horizon, apart from Sizewell C. Why is this a problem? Well, because HS2 has reached peak construction, and we'll soon start to see the number of people directly employed beginning to steadily decrease. At the same time, Hinkley C has also reached peak construction, with 12,000 people employed on site and 26,000 across the country. The stated figure for HS2 is 30,000 jobs supported by the project. I'm uncertain if this is directly employed or also includes supply chain jobs. But in any event, with tunnel construction mostly complete and all of the components for the various viaducts now manufactured, we are already seeing precast concrete factories beginning to wind down. Wider supply chain jobs are therefore already starting to diminish, with no sign yet of when work will begin to establish the factory needed to manufacture the thousands of concrete track slabs required. I fully admit that I can be pessimistic, but 2 projects which are currently supporting over 50,000 jobs reaching peak construction should be of concern, especially in light of the fact there are no, or at least few large projects in the pipeline for workers to move on to. If we're lucky, workers from Hinkley C will be able to move on to Sizewell if they choose to. But there are no other large projects that I'm aware of involving significant earth moving and civil engineering. Many of the plant operators trained for HS2 could therefore soon find that their skills are no longer required. And yes, I consider plant operators to be skilled workers, although I know that some people tend to think of skilled to mean university educated. It's no secret that HS2 initially struggled to find a sufficient number of skilled and experienced workers, and over the past 6 years has welcomed over 2,000 apprentices, and a special academy was established to train plant operators. So we now have a skilled and experienced workforce, with skills which aren't directly transferable as HS2 enters the track and systems phase. Clearly, a large number of labourers will be required, with countless other supporting jobs, but as far as I'm aware, they will have to apply for any available positions when the track and systems contractors take over from the main civils contractors. This, I strongly believe, makes a compelling case for restarting work on HS2 Phase 2A to Crewe, as it is effectively shovel-ready. As the hybrid bill powers for Phase 2A lapsed at the beginning of the year, I'm not certain what legislation would be required to purchase the remaining required properties, although it's not an insurmountable problem, and I'm assuming early ground investigation work could commence on the land already owned by the government. There have been discussions about reducing the scope in a bid to reduce the cost, and even alternative routes proposed. But I believe we should just get on and build Phase 2A as set out within the hybrid bill as soon as possible. With prep work typically taking around 2 years, it will still be cutting it fine if work began tomorrow, and there is still a risk that there will be a sharp rise in construction sector unemployment over the next 2 to 3 years. But restarting Phase 2A would retain at least part of the skilled workforce that the industry has fought so hard to develop over the past 6 years. It's widely recognised that a chronic lack of skills was in part responsible for the rising cost of HS2. If we lose thousands of workers who may never return to the construction industry, or worse, may leave the UK altogether, then any future large projects will suffer the same fate. Put simply, we need to end this boom and bust cycle of investment, and the best way to reduce construction costs in the UK is to keep building. I know East-West Rail is on the horizon, and Northern Powerhouse Rail is apparently still being developed. However, construction of the new section of East-West Rail won't begin until 2030 at the earliest. We may therefore have to find a new raft of tunnellers to construct the 2 tunnels proposed. HS2 tunnellers may already be mulling retirement, leaving the country to find work, or starting a new career. Several significant viaducts are also planned. EWR would therefore benefit from the skills and knowledge gained during the construction of HS2. Lead engineers and project managers are highly sought after, so could leave the UK altogether once the final HS2 viaduct is complete. Northern Powerhouse Rail, or Liverpool-Manchester Railway, is, as far as I'm concerned, just a pipe dream at the moment, and Andy Burnham is still quibbling over funding arrangements, including looking at private finance initiatives, which would likely be unworkable, or at the very least would cost more in the long term. The hybrid bill for HS2 Phase 2 is being repurposed for NPR, but that doesn't guarantee delivery, despite the bill making it into the King's Speech. Very few details have been released, and the DfT is currently at risk of being taken to court for trying to block a housing development. This is because, despite everyone with even the slightest knowledge of NPR knowing broadly where the railway would go, the DfT decided not to protect the land required between Bowden and Thelwall. So, a housing developer is now trying to build houses on a piece of land that is crucial to NPR, and the DfT is trying to block it without possibly having the legal means to do so. I know this paints a very bleak picture, which is in contrast to the phenomenal progress made on HS2 over the past few years. But nobody seems to be talking about the looming compounded problems facing the construction industry, at least no one in government, despite almost everyone I've spoken to about this all agreeing that there is a serious issue on the horizon. I still fully support NPR and strongly believe HS2 should reach Manchester. But nothing that Andy Burnham has said so far leads me to believe that either are any closer to becoming a reality. But what do you think? Am I being too pessimistic? Let me know in the comments.